Hello, friends of the Latino Chamber of Commerce. My name is Carla Colin. I'm the president of the chamber, and we are here with a really good friend that is going to tell us about interesting things and let us know about some misconceptions that a lot of people might have about electric vehicles and sustainable transportation. So I want to welcome Jake to our interviews. We usually have these interviews with people that collaborate with the chamber, and Jake has done an amazing job collaborating with the Latino Chamber. Maybe you recognize him by if you were part of our Feria del Tamal recently or a small business conference. So, Jake, welcome. Thank you for being here and introduce yourself. Tell us what you do and who you're representing today and all of that.
Thank you. Excited to be here. So as Carla said, my name is Jake Bergen and I work for Drive Clean Colorado. And we are a nonprofit focused on clean transportation throughout the whole state of Colorado. So we help with financial savings, EV ownership, kind of a lot of the educational pieces behind it, um, things like that. And we're throughout the whole state, as I mentioned, different counties.
Definitely. Thank you so much, Jake. And we're going to start with the biggest question because I know things have changed a lot recently. So, talking to some people, and that's exactly why I reached out to Jake because some people thought that because federal funding went away, we don't have any more incentives or support for electric transportation, but we do. And the state of Colorado has been great at doing a plan for these. So, Jake, what are the biggest financial incentives currently available for individuals, but also for business owners that are interested in switching to electric vehicles, and how can they take advantage of them?
Yeah, it's a great question and one that we get most days. So yeah, there's a lot of support within the state. So like the governor has a goal to have 940,000 EVs on the road by 2030. Um, so there are two programs that are available to individuals. There's the Colorado Vehicle Exchange Program, which you can receive up to $9,000 toward a new EV or $6,000 towards a used EV if you have a trade-in vehicle that is 12 years or older or fails to pass an emissions test. This is an income qualified program. And you have to do it through a participating dealership, which there are many, many dealerships that are participating in it. And you can find that information on the Colorado Energy Office's website. There's also the Colorado EV tax credit that you can get for only new EVs. Both of these apply to EVs and plug-in hybrids. Um, so right now the tax credit is at 3,500, but starting January 1st will be reduced down to $750. So between the two, there's still a fair amount of money available for EVs. As for businesses, there are a few options that they can pull from. There's two that are pertaining to charging infrastructure. So the Charge Ahead Colorado uh, grant is through the Colorado Energy Office, and you can receive funding for charging at workplace, multifamily housing, different organizations, things like that. And then there's Fleet Zero, which is also for charging infrastructure, state same grant program basically, but it it only applies to charging infrastructure for fleets specifically. Then, if you're looking to purchase a fleet vehicle and electrify your fleet, you can look at the Clean Fleet Vehicle Technology Program, which is through the Colorado Department of Public Health and Environment.
That's amazing. Thank you. Thank you for sharing all of that. And obviously, I forgot to remind people, but when we post this video, we are gonna, on the description of the video, we're gonna have all the information, links to where people can find more information and all of that. So don't worry about learning all the things that Jake has to share with us right now. Okay, my next question is about the impact that electric vehicles have within, the society, the state, and in general, the nation, because we see a lot of things about electric, sustainability, and all of those things. But what are the main environmental and long-term cost saving benefits that EV owners experience compared to traditional gas and power vehicles?
Yeah, that's a really good question. The I'll start with the environmental benefits. There are a lot of benefits to driving an EV versus a gas-powered car. For one, there are no tailpipe emissions, so there's no direct pollution coming from the car. EVs are also extremely efficient. They convert about 77% of electrical energy, while gas-powered cars only do about 12 to 30%, so significantly more efficient. And I know a lot of people have concerns with the grid and its capacity, and that the grid is using fossil fuels. The energy utilities are constantly working on this. They're constantly improving the grid. They're greening the grid. They're using solar power, wind power, all of that to transition to be more renewable. So the more that you're charging and switching towards an EV, the grid is constantly becoming cleaner. And then looking at like the lifetime emissions of the time that the vehicle, an EV, is produced from mining to lifetime driving to grid capacity, it is much cleaner than a traditional gas-powered vehicle throughout the whole life cycle. And I know a lot of people have concerns about the batteries as well and what happens with those. When they have reduced energy storage capacity, they can be repurposed for other uses. And then when they become end of life for that, the lead acid and lithium ion batteries that are used in electric vehicles, they can be recycled. They're not 100% recyclable, but this process is still being refined and improved. And as for cost savings, the total cost of ownership has been proven to be significantly less throughout the lifetime of ownership because there is not as much maintenance with EVs because you don't have to change your oil, for instance. And the brake pads need to be changed less frequently because of the regenerative braking that happens in the vehicle. And just the price of charging is overall less expensive than gas typically, and there's less fluctuations in those prices. Additionally, with used EVs as of right now, they cost the same or less as gas equivalents. So when shopping for used cars, EVs are comparable in price, and a lot of them are coming off of leases. So you can find fairly new vehicles with under 40,000 miles on them, and they're still covered by manufacturer's warranties.
That's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that. I was talking during the Tomat Festival. I was talking to a couple that recently got an electric vehicle, and they said that they're only paying $30 more for their electric bill every month, but they're saving a lot of money on gas. So it doesn't matter that, their electric bill goes a little up. $30 is nothing compared to how much we put in gas in our vehicle. So I think it's pretty cool to hear those real experiences and from real people because they're doing it already. They're experiencing it. So that's
Yeah,
pretty cool.
definitely.
Yeah. And I know you mentioned the incentives and how could it work for small businesses. So I'm not gonna ask you that because I had that on my questions, but is there anything that you notice with small businesses, or which small businesses are, participating in these incentives more? What do you think about, how it works with small businesses?
So I think there's definitely an interest in small businesses with these programs, like the Fleet Zero and Charge Ahead Colorado have if you're designated as a small business, you can get the enhanced incentive for charging infrastructure. So there's a big focus on that. And honestly, with small businesses, you're more focused on the bottom line and you're looking for the most efficient vehicle and things that you can do to save money. And in the long run, EVs save a lot of money in terms of repairs, gas, like we discussed, all of that. So I think making that transition can sometimes have an upfront investment, but in the long run, it does save a lot of money.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that. So, we are not a business, but we are a nonprofit organization, and we are soon to have our first electric vehicle, which is going to be our mobile office. We are going to be traveling with these mobile office, around the state, going to communities in rural areas that don't have access to resources and things like that. And I love the idea of, thinking that we are going to be reaching out to business owners that are going to be able to see the work we do with our mobile office and maybe imagine the same thing with their business. We work with a lot of food trucks, for example, and we are working within Boulder County and some programs that we have in Boulder County transition these food trucks to electric food trucks. And it's pretty cool. We already had an event about it and we got very excited thinking about our mobile office. So I think it's important that businesses start thinking about it. We saw it with, for example, the electrification of landscapers. Some of them lost contracts because they're not transitioning their equipment to electric equipment. So I imagine that this might happen in the future for companies that use multiple vehicles for their fleets, and if they're not electrical, maybe they are in potential danger of losing contracts with, the higher corporates and people that hire them because they want more sustainable businesses.
Yeah, definitely.
So I'm gonna go to my last question, and this is very interesting because the more I talk to you and I talk to your team, the more I learn. But I think I was in the position of doubting about electric vehicles a few years ago before we started our partnership. But what are some of the most common misconceptions about EVs, and how does Drive Clean Colorado help communities better understand the realities of owning and driving an electric vehicle?
That is a good question. Like you, I also had misconceptions about EVs in the past, and you don't really know until somebody has told you. But one of the main misconceptions that we hear is that EVs can explode and they can catch on fire, and people have safety concerns with them. And the technology for EV batteries is specifically designed for that to not happen, and that EVs overall are rated very highly for safety over gas-powered vehicles, and their electrical systems automatically shut off during a collision. So they have that programming and technology. And although that EVs can catch on fire and it has happened, it is much less frequent than gas-powered cars, which is something to be aware of. Um, so it's not it's not all that you see if you see on the news that a EV is on fire, things like that. It doesn't happen as frequently as shown. Another one, especially for Colorado, that we hear is that EVs don't drive well in the winter. And they drive very well in the winter, actually, because they have uh, very good handling and weight distribution. EVs are very heavy cars because of their batteries. And because of that, they have a lower center of gravity, which makes them more stable and one less prone to rollovers as well as just sliding on ice and things like that. So even if your EV is not all-wheel drive, it still performs better than a non-all-wheel drive gas-powered vehicle because of the weight. It just holds down very well. So I think those are the big misconceptions that I hear regularly, as well as you can't charge during a power outage, which is true. But you also can't pump gas during a power outage, which is a lot of people are not aware of, which just kind of puts apples to apples a little bit. So, a little bit about Drive Clean Colorado and how we can help with addressing these misconceptions is going to different events. We work individually with consumers. So, if anybody has questions, people can reach out to our team and we can discuss EV ownership, what it's like installing charging in your house, connect you with the right people, connecting you with with your energy provider, things like that, and just be here as a resource. We regularly answer questions, emails, phone calls, things like that. We can work with you as a business and discuss the grant opportunities and look at those grants with you and what makes sense, how many like charging ports maybe you want to install, how to transition your fleet from gas power to electric, things like that. But overall, we are here as a resource and educational resource. We You might see us at different events, things like that.
Perfect. Thank you so much for sharing all of this information, Jake. I know during the events that we have where we have electric vehicle ride and drive, sometimes people are more excited about driving the vehicles than getting information. So this is a great opportunity for people to think about, okay, I saw the electric vehicles during the Tamal Festival, for example. Now I have more information and I know where to find Jake and support for the transition. So thank you so much for your time today, Jake. And hopefully, we get a lot of people interested. If you feel like you want to contact the Latino Chamber, we can connect you with Jake or someone in his team, and they'll be happy to help you. And obviously, like I said before, their information is going to be on the description of this video, so you don't have to worry about, going back and reviewing the information. We are here to support you. So thank you so much.
Yes, thank you.